Hello friends, and welcome back to HD Reads. So today we are going to be talking about the one, the only thriller extraordinaire, Freida McFadden. You either love her or you can't be bothered with her, but seeing as I have rated the majority of these books 5 stars, I would say I absolutely love her. I've only read 7 of Freida's books so far, but today we are going to be ranking them in order from my least to most favorite. And I'll give a little synopsis of each book, including why I gave them the rating I did. And without further ado, let's get into it. So starting off in 7th place, we have Want to Know a Secret. So the blurb is, everyone has secrets. YouTube baking sensation April Masterson knows the secret to the perfect gooey brownies, or how to make key lime squares that will melt in your mouth. But if you keep watching her offline, you may find out some other secrets about April. Secrets she'd rather you didn't know. Like, where did her son go when he snuck out of the house? What was she doing with the local soccer coach behind fogged windows? And what's buried in her backyard? Everyone has secrets. Some are worse than others. April's secrets are enough to destroy her. I'll make sure of that. So, Want to Know a Secret. It's definitely suspenseful. Definitely took a turn I wasn't expecting. But compared to the other Freida books in this list and the plot twists and the general plot, this one I would say was the least gripping. So I did give this one overall like a 3.5, 3.75 stars, which still isn't bad. It's way more than 50%. It's kind of a mixed media book. It's, without giving away too much, our main character receives a lot of text messages. And we're kind of trying to figure out who these messages are from. She's getting these nasty comments left on her YouTube. And, we don't know if it's warranted or not, what's going on. Overall, a good read. I would still recommend this one. So coming in 6th place, we have One by One. So one by one, they will get what they deserve. A night spent sleeping on dirt and leaves is not how Claire Matchett expected to spend her vacation. She thought there would be a break from the stresses of work and raising her young children. A chance to repair her damaged marriage. A week of hiking and hot tubs with 2 other couple friends. It sounded like heaven. Then Claire's minivan breaks down on a lonely dirt road with no cell reception. The group has no choice but to hike the rest of the way to their hotel. But turns out the woods aren't as easy to navigate as they thought. Hours later, they're lost, hopelessly lost. And as they navigate deeper into the woods, the members of the party are struck down mysteriously, one by one. Has a wild animal been hunting them, or is the hunter one of them? But as more time passes, one thing becomes clear. Only one of them will return home alive. So this one really had me. I was sucked in. I think I read this one in one sitting, and I was convinced I knew what, or should I say, spoiler, who was killing everyone off. Turns out I was, without giving too much away, not 100% wrong, not 100% right. Do with that what you will. The ending felt a little rushed. But there was a good plot twist right before there, revealing what was happening to all the characters. And the way it ended was kind of on a cliffhanger, but again, I felt like it was a bit rushed towards the end. Like, there was a lot happening, a lot of narration that wasn't necessary. I would say was unnecessary, very descriptive of like the scenery and stuff, and could have maybe stuck a little more to the plot, but overall a good read. I think I gave this one 4 stars. So next we have The Inmate. There are 3 rules Brooke Sullivan must follow as a new nurse practitioner at a men's maximum security. 1. Treat all prisoners with respect. 2. Never reveal any personal information. And 3. Never ever become too friendly with the inmates. But none of the staff at the prison know that Brooke has already broken the rules. Nobody knows about her intimate connection to Shane Nelson, one of the penitentiary's most notorious and dangerous inmates. And they certainly don't know that Shane was Brooke's high school sweetheart, the star quarterback, who's now spending the rest of his life in prison for a series of grisly murders, or that Brooke's testimony was what put him there. But Shane knows, and he will never forget. Now this, I want to say this was the 3rd Freida book I ever read. And I loved it from the beginning. Maybe I had a slight bias because I work in the medical field and I've also done a little work in a prison setting, but this had me. I loved it. I loved the characters. I reviewed this in my last video briefly. There's a lot of back and forth in my head the whole time between 2 characters, not knowing whose side I should take. And then there's of course, with all Freida books, there was a twist at the end which just pieced it all together perfectly. Chef's kiss. I gave this one 5 stars. So that was only number 5. So you know the rest are all going to be 5 stars for me. But even though they're all 5 stars, they still are 5 to different degrees. Hence the ranking system, if that makes sense. So coming in at number 4, we have Do Not Disturb, which was my second most recent Freida book that I finished. So Quinn Alexander has committed an unthinkable crime. To avoid spending her life in prison, Quinn makes a run for it. She leaves behind her home, her job, her family, grabs her passport, heads for the northern border before the police can discover what she's done. When an unexpected snowstorm forces her off the road, Quinn must take refuge at the broken-down, isolated Baxter Motel. Unfortunately, the Baxter Motel isn't the quiet, safe haven it seemed to be. The motel has a dark and disturbing past. In the morning, Quinn must leave the motel. She'll pack her belongings and get back on the road to freedom, but first she must survive the night. So, without spoiling too much, I'd say the first half of this book is very reminiscent of the Psycho films. And I think that's what Freida was aiming for. It's told from multiple POVs, and I really liked the majority of the characters in this. It did take a turn I wasn't expecting. I did feel like it was a tiny bit rushed, the end, trying to piece things, trying to, wrap it up. But overall, I loved it. I loved the plot twist. I loved the backstories to a couple of the characters. I thought the intimate relationships they described were beautiful. I loved it. 5 stars. Now, Ward D, first book I ever read by Freida. Again, medical, and takes place in a psychiatric ward. Medical student Amy Brenner is spending the night on a locked psychiatric ward. Amy has been dreading her evening working on Ward D, the hospital's inpatient mental health unit. There are very specific reasons why she never wants to do this required overnight rotation, reasons nobody can ever find out. As the hours tick by, Amy grows increasingly convinced something terrible is happening within these tightly secured walls. When patients and staff start to vanish without a trace, it becomes clear that everyone on the unit is in grave danger. Amy's worst nightmare was spending the night on Ward D, and now she might never escape. So this, 5 stars right off the bat. This is what got me into Freida's books. I was instantly pulled in right from the get-go. You know something's off. You can't quite figure it out. And the plot twist, did not see it coming. Not at all. absolutely shook to the core. It ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger too, where you're left kind of a little sus of our main character, but I really loved the plot of this. I loved how it panned out. Then when everything made sense, explaining people's motivation for what they did, how the main character discovers that so-and-so is the ones doing this and this. It was just beautiful. Okay, so going on to my number 2 and the most recent Freida book I've read, Dead Med. All I can think about is how pathetic it would be to die in the anatomy lab. The last thing I want is to become one of the dead bodies. When Heather McKinley dreamed of becoming a doctor, she imagined curing sick kids and sporting pink stethoscopes. She never anticipated the sleepless nights, grueling exams, and endless labs, and she certainly never knew that her medical school earned the nickname Dead Med thanks to the tragic history of students overdosing on illegal drugs. Heather would never consider doing anything like that. That is, until her longtime boyfriend dumps her, she finds herself failing anatomy, and her world starts to crumble. Everyone has a breaking point. Then on the night before the final exam in anatomy, a shot rings out through the hallways of Dead Med. The school has claimed yet another casualty. One of Heather's classmates has done the unthinkable, and before her desperate 911 call even connects, it will happen again. And the night is just beginning. So, I will say the blurb itself is kind of a spoiler, which you don't realize, which I didn't even realize until I was basically done the book. I was like, oh, it was, but I won't get into that much. Don't want to spoil it for you guys if you haven't read it yet. I absolutely love this. It's told from multiple POVs, and you're trying to piece everything together. I like how each POV kind of starts at the same timeline, so you get the full picture. It was very, I would say, nuanced, the way that Freida painted the quote-unquote bad guy, because in my opinion, there's more than one, even though maybe one was more directly involved than the other, I will say. It was great how it panned. I mean, well, the things that happen aren't great, but the writing and how everything tied together was very 5-star worthy. I will read this book again in the future. And coming in at number 1, we have Never Lie. So this is the only Freida book I actually have a physical copy of. So newlyweds Trisha and Ethan are searching for the house of their dreams, but when they visit the remote manor that once belonged to Dr. Adrian Hale, a renowned psychiatrist who vanished without a trace, a violent winter storm traps them in this state, with no chance of escape until the blizzard ends. In search of a book to keep her entertained, Trisha happens upon a secret room, one that contains audio transcripts from every single patient Dr. Hale has ever interviewed. As Trisha listens to this cassette tape, she learns about the terrifying chain of events leading up to Dr. Hale's disappearance. Trisha plays the tapes one by one late into the night. With each one, another piece of the puzzle falls into place, and Dr. Adrian Hale's web of lies slowly unravels. And then Trisha reaches the final cassette, the one that reveals the entire horrifying truth. I cannot say too much about this because I cannot rave about this book without giving away any spoilers, really. But the plot twist in this one, oh my goodness. I was talking to a coworker about this, and she had the exact same reaction. Did not see it coming for 1 minute. It should have been a bit, no, it wasn't obvious at all. I was gonna say it should have been, no. If you see what happens coming, then props to you, because I was shook to the core. I loved the concept of the cassette tapes. I was totally enthralled with that. Every time the character listened to a new tape, I got more and more excited. I was like, where's this going? We need to put this puzzle together, and then when you solve the puzzle, you almost wish you hadn't because of reasons I can't say right now. But if you're going to read a Freida book, start with Never Lie. You will not be disappointed. 5 stars all the way. So that concludes our video. If you have a favorite Freida book that was not in this list that you think I should read, comment that down below, and I will for sure check that out and review that in an upcoming video. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe.